Hey everyone, and welcome to Quickscope Podcast, brought to you by Higher Passion Entertainment. We're your hosts, Eric and Serge, and we're here to talk about our passion, which is video games. Today, we're going to focus on the newest PlayStation Showcase, and we're going to talk about all the games that came out on there. And I mean, it was overall a really good showcase. I know, Serge, you're kind of an Xbox guy. What'd you think
Yeah.
about it? Kind of a high level. Do you think it was good?
I thought it was good. A lot of new games, a lot of interesting games for people who like single players,
Oh yeah,
and definitely a lot of good coming out of PlayStation, especially after their lack of PS5 exclusives.
yeah,
So now they had to show up, you know, and they did.
yeah. I think they did.
If you're a fan of single player games, this is for sure your showcase, and you have to be happy with what you saw.
Yeah, definitely. But before we get into the showcase itself, I did want to talk about recent news, and this news came out like legit like today. We talked about this I think it was a few months ago, where
Yeah.
Epic Games, you know them as the creator of Fortnite, they had gone and taken Apple to court. And the reason they had taken them to court is because of in-app purchases and just the whole system of how the Apple App Store was working. Um, so, for those that don't know, the court has recently just ruled in favor of Epic Games and pretty much all developers. And what that means for us is we'll probably get Fortnite back in the App Store in the next 90 days. And what it means for developers, and not just game developers, just app developers in general, they can now include links in the App Store that will go and go and direct to other sites. So meaning for Epic, they can have Epic links in there to go and download Fortnite at a different location, and then you can do that for other games as well. So any games that have in-app purchases don't have to go through the store anymore. And I mean, Apple was taking probably 15 to 30% of all transactions within the App Store for apps to be hosted there, and now you can just simply have a link that goes out and then you purchase the games elsewhere. That especially makes sense a lot for Epic, which make Fortnite, and as many of you know, they have their own uh, source to download the game from. So I think that was pretty big news, and it got to the point where we saw stocks fluctuate. Right, Epic Games, a couple other developers like Zynga, I think they're that other mobile developer. Their stocks went up and Apple stock went down. I think it's pretty. I think I take this as a win for gamers and for game developers. I don't know. What do you think about this?
Definitely a win for the developers and gaming, not just gaming, just developers in general of apps. Um, I guess as an Apple user, I think it makes it less convenient, which is what's kind of, as an Apple user, you want convenience,
That's
you
true.
want simplicity, you want that just clicking the button and download the app. But you know, again, it's helping these developers, so I guess it's not too bad. But might be a little more work for people to have to download games. Might have a little more frustrated people that are using Apple. I guess not wanting to have to go on a third party site or, some other link. But like I said, the stock's going down and Apple's going to lose money for sure.
Yeah, I think they went down like
More
three
money for the
percent or
developers.
something. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean that they're making a ridiculous amount of money, so I guess that's a good thing, right? It's taking it to the big company and making sure that they don't, I guess, abuse their power and they don't get too money hungry. So hopefully they do allow people to have, if they want to keep say if it's a free game,
Yeah,
they want to keep it on the App Store, easy link. I mean, easy, just click and download. Maybe they could do that. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work, but
yeah,
you know, it's going to be a transition for sure for people who use Apple,
yeah.
and
Yeah, definitely. They're gonna have to change how they work with a lot of different developers, and again, I think the court ruling was 90 days, so they have 90 days to make the changes. So we're expecting Fortnite to be available again on mobile in the next 90 days, and we'll probably see other game developers really benefit from this. So yeah, we'll definitely keep a close eye on it to see where it goes.
yeah,
But again, I think it's is news worth talking about and worth talking
yeah,
within the gaming community. Because again, we just want gamers to have a good experience. We want overall good
yeah,
user experience, but also we want to make sure that the game developers are getting their money. They
Yeah,
don't get taken away from by Apple just because they are
yeah,
trying to
definitely.
get the game out to consumers, right?
Yeah, yeah, and especially it's good for mobile gamers, I guess, because there is a lot of people that are playing Fortnite on mobile. I know there's a lot of people that are playing still PUBG on
Yeah.
mobile, Call of Duty on mobile. So maybe having Fortnite back, a lot of these people are gonna go back onto Fortnite. Especially, I mean, it's been what at least a year, I think, that they haven't had it on there. It's been a
Oh yeah.
while. It's been quite a little while that it's been off of there. So
So
I bet a lot of mobile gamers are gonna be
yeah,
fun. I would be
we
excited
might
for
see a
sure.
spike again in Fortnite. So we'll keep a close eye
Yeah.
on it, of course. Um, so yeah, so now we can. I just wanted to touch on that before we got into the PlayStation Showcase itself. I really wanted to talk about the PlayStation Showcase because I myself play. I have a PS4, so I was super excited about it. And if you guys remember, we were also really critical about PlayStation in the last few weeks because
Yeah.
of their lack of PS5 exclusives. A lot of games that they had said they were going to come out just for PS5 ended up coming out for PS4 as well. So it kind of leaves PS5 owners in the dust and saying, "Why did I even buy this console to begin with?" Um, and and then we had the absence of PlayStation at E3, and PlayStation kind of came out with their own like mini showcase after, which is pretty good, but at the end it was kind of more the same. Like we didn't know where to go from there. But now with this showcase, this blew up. Like a lot of people online were saying, "All right, PlayStation knows what they're doing," and one of the big names, big titles that came out during this showcase was uh, a game that a lot of players have been asking for years, and that's Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. And it was just a teaser. We didn't see any gameplay, but even with that, I think that was such a good start to this short showcase and in showing the fans that, hey, we're listening. We're listening to you guys and we know what you want and we're going to deliver. Uh, I don't know. Did you ever play Knights of the Old Republic or have heard about it?
I didn't, but I've heard good things of it. Definitely a lot of people who played it. It seemed like PlayStation really. I mean, I don't want to say that they're copying Xbox, but they understood that Xbox has really started to focus on providing people with games that they do love. A lot of like what they're doing with Game Pass. A lot of what they're doing, bringing back these Xbox
Yeah.
classics. You don't have to always create a new game. You could bring back remakes. You could bring back old titles that people want to be remade in newer graphics, especially when you're trying to showcase your PS5
Oh, yeah.
graphics. You're not trying to showcase your ability to make games. They can make games. It's not that. They're trying to sell their graphics on their PS5. So how better to sell their graphics than to bring out a game that people love and just remake the graphics.
Yeah.
So uh, it definitely they like you said they listened to their consumers and they
Yeah.
just they ran with it. Yeah.
There's two really interesting points I wanted to talk about Knights of the Old Republic. Number one, the voice of the character. So the person that was narrating when they did this teaser was the original voice from the original game, and I think that was really a lot of fanfare, a lot of like catering to fans in that also. But one thing that I saw a lot of people complaining about is that they did say it's going to be a PlayStation exclusive at launch. So we've seen that before, right? We've seen games come out and be an exclusive for one console at launch and then come out for other consoles. But this one is PlayStation exclusive at launch. Again, PS5, and it will then be available on PC. We're not going to get it on Xbox, and I think that's really interesting for me personally because the original game, Knights of the Old Republic, I played it on Xbox, and that's where first I played it on. So I wonder how they were able to get to that point, right? Because originally it was on all consoles. Now we're actually I don't even know if it was on PlayStation to begin with, but PlayStation got the hold on it, and we talked about it a few episodes ago how Star Wars, the licensing for Star Wars game was lost by I think EA. Yeah, they lost the licensing,
Yeah.
so any developers can really take the reins now and kind of develop Star Wars stories, and obviously LucasArts went with a developer that was gonna make it a PlayStation exclusive, and they allowed it. So I think that's really interesting. Another interesting point is it's a remake, so we're gonna get a lot of the same type of interactions in game, and it's a RPG. So we get another role playing game, but they did mention that the action sequences and a lot of that is gonna be remade. So we might have kind of a different game, and I'm thinking it might be along the lines of the Final Fantasy VII remake, where instead of like the turn-based action, we got like a hack and slash type game. They might go in that route and still have the same story, still have the same mechanics where you can like tread towards the dark side or the light side. And I thought that was the coolest part about that game, honestly. Like you can like go full on like Sith Lord or like be like a true Jedi Knight, and that was the most fun about that game. Um, Honestly, with this game, I think they can go anywhere with it, especially with the Star Wars universe being so big, with there being so much lore, and with how well the last Star Wars game did. What was that game? It's on Game Pass.
Jedi
Fallen Order. Yeah,
Fallen
yeah.
Order. Yeah,
With how well they did and how well the mechanics played out there as a Jedi, I think they can really take those type of game mechanics and kind of mix it with Knights of the Old Republic and what that game was, and really give us a really
yeah,
powerful game, a really good game that people will enjoy.
yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said, I mean, I guess the question you were asking, how did they do it, is definitely they paid up. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. They
They paid
paid
up.
up. PlayStation's never been one to shy away from paying up money to get an
That's
exclusive.
true.
So
That's true.
Xbox, they'll try. They tried for like Call of Duty and a bunch back then, but then PlayStation learned they had to put up the cheddar, and I'm pretty sure they paid a pretty penny to get that exclusive, and
Yeah.
that's the PlayStation way. You know,
Yeah.
I don't fault them for it, but that's usually what they
Yeah.
do.
I think it's important.
But yeah, I mean, it's the right
Oh
move,
yeah.
right? I mean, they I don't know if they can compete with Xbox on the Game Pass side. They can't, because
Oh
Xbox
yeah.
just knows what they're doing. They know what they're doing, so they're trying to take another route, which is good. You don't have to compete in the exact way like they used to. Used to always have to compete Call of Duty to Call of Duty, or this game to that game, Halo Wars to, or Halo to this, and
Yeah.
nowadays it's just you're kind of going your own route, and they're focusing on their exclusives, which is good, as they should, I think,
Yeah.
personally.
So again, that was just a small clip that they showed of Knights of the Old Republic, but so many fans have been asking for it that it really like blew up and it was all over social media. So that's one to keep an eye on. I really hope they come out with gameplay soon, so we can see what direction they're taking it. But I honestly feel like it's gonna get the same type of following that we saw with the Final Fantasy remake. Yeah, so
Yeah,
we'll see. Um, the next game that they came out with that they showed was Project Eve. I thought Project Eve was really interesting. Um, it kind of reminded me of the like Bayonetta games that
yeah,
we were able. I think that was on Wii. Uh, I really liked those games, and it kind of gave me the same vibe. Whereas like this like monster alien robot things that you're
yeah,
fighting, and you're just like this girl is very like anime-ish. It was even in, I think it was,
yeah. It had the anime style, the anime
yeah,
voice, I
it,
guess
it
you
was it
want to call
was
it that. Yeah,
it was subbed, so there was no
yeah,
dub, so it was in its original language, and we had subtitles. And honestly, if they keep the game like that, it might attract a lot of anime fans.
yeah, definitely.
So
No, it was definitely interesting. Like you said, it definitely looks. The combat looked cool. It seemed like, I don't know. She was like sticking a knife, her sword, her sword into some like gear looking. How the monster's face was like, it's almost like a gear.
yeah.
I don't know what it is. It was weird, yeah, but it looked interesting.
Yeah, so this is one game that I don't know if I'll get right away, but who knows? Like we saw, what was that anime style game that came out not too long ago?
Genshin,
Yeah, Genshin Impact that everyone was playing.
yeah,
Everyone was playing that for a while, and I feel like
yeah,
this might be that type of game where people might play it for a while just to play it, and because it
yeah,
gives that anime feel, like the beauty of it, and all that. Again, it looked like a single player game. I didn't see any like multiplayer to it at all, really. So it'll be a game more catered towards those players, those gamers. So yeah,
Hopefully they don't make it $60. Hopefully they keep it to like
yeah,
$30 and more
uh,
people will actually buy it
yeah. I'm
because
sure as hell not paying
um,
$60 to play that game.
yeah, I think I was watching a donkey video recently about them talking about like game prices, and they should these developers should really start focusing their games around how much, I guess, not just keeping that baseline $60. So hopefully these developers start learning to
Yeah.
price their games a little lower. Like you said, Genshin, I think Genshin Impact was like $30, and that's why it was a little more affordable. If I remember
Yeah,
right, I
when it
think it
came
was
out,
30.
and then it was free for a while. I think
Yeah, yeah,
I
it was free for a
downloaded it
little bit.
as part of one of like the monthly PlayStation games that they do for free once in a while. So
Yeah,
technically, it's paid for because you pay monthly. I think it was part of Game Pass too at one point. So yeah,
yeah,
so it's definitely keeping them at those price points, like lower price points. Well, it makes sense, and with certain games, they'll do that, and they go the direction of like selling in-app purchases for or in-game purchases for like skins and
yeah,
other weapons and those types of things. And uh I feel like most games are trending in that direction anyway. So hopeful,
yeah,
and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with allowing the players to kind of create their own experience in that way, instead of like forcing people to pay all this money up front for a game that they might not even like. Yeah.
exactly, yeah,
And it's really interesting because I remember back in the day I used to, like, when we would be able to go to like Hollywood Video or Blockbuster or even like Redbox and just rent a game real quick. I'm gonna rent this one player game, see if I like it first, and then okay, I like it, I'm gonna go actually buy it. And
yeah,
but now it's like I rarely even see demos in the store with in the PlayStation store that I can play to see if I like a game. For some
yeah,
they did. I mean we were talking about Final Fantasy Remake earlier. They had a demo for that I played through. I was like, okay, I like this. I'm gonna buy it. Like this is a good game. So
yeah,
I think having more of that for single player games would make sense, especially for PlayStation, because PlayStation really prides themselves on those single player games. That's their
yeah,
so
exactly,
far it's their bread and butter, right?
yeah,
So yeah, Project Eve. I thought it was interesting, and I'm just gonna keep an eye on the price point, and if it's low enough, might get it. I think I'm gonna do a playthrough of that one. Another game that they showed that I thought was interesting for PlayStation was Chia. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's like Tachia.
yeah, yeah. I think it's
Chia.
Chia.
This one looked really interesting. It was kind of, I think it's more kid friendly. It looked like this girl was like
An
transforming
adventure.
into like different animals and stuff. I don't know what was the kind of the vibe you got from it.
It 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 kind of maybe like Moana, kind of like
Oh
a
yeah,
Moana-ish vibe. Definitely kid oriented, which is not. I mean, it's not good, which is not bad, right? Having something for kids on PlayStation, I feel like PlayStation doesn't have too many kid friendly games. Like I guess in the sense of like this style, definitely gave like a naturey vibe, some kind of like Hawaiian vibe for sure.
yeah. I got bits of Zelda, the what's it called, Wind
Sorry.
Maker, Wind Waker.
Mhm.
I kind of felt like it was going in that route where it was like you had the little parachute and you're like floating
Yeah,
forward,
it's like Fortnite.
and
It's like
uh
a
and
Fortnite.
kind of like the interaction with all the people around you, and there's some type of like little like fighting mode that you can go into to like defeat people. And I think just the overall story might be going into that type of game for children. So I'm all for it. I think having those types of games, you have to have a good variety of games. And they showed this
Yeah,
at the showcase. I think this was the only real game at the showcase that I thought, okay, this will be a cute game for kids to play. So
definitely.
definitely including that for someone like, especially in my age group, like I have kids, and this might be a game that I can play with my son. Like I love playing Animal Crossing around him, and
Yeah,
he doesn't even know what we're doing, and he just randomly will be like, "Oh, let's fish." Let's go fishing in Animal
Yeah.
Crossing, and so maybe this will be the type of game where you can kind of do random stuff like that, and I can really like enjoy bonding and sharing my passion for games with my kids. So that was kind of the positive I took from this game from Chia, and yeah, it's just a really cute game overall. That's kind of
Yeah.
what I thought.
So it's a good way. It's a good way to introduce kids to gaming,
Yeah,
I guess. Something um, not too complicated. I guess more of the open. It felt like I don't know if it was an open world, but more of that kind of style of game, just exploring and you know, good. Yeah, it looks like
yeah.
fun.
Um, Another game that they came out with during the PlayStation Showcase was Gran Turismo 7. So this was the only racing game that they showed in the entire thing, and I remember we talked. I think it was last episode we talked about Forza
A Forza,
and how they're
yeah,
kind of like the top, like always at the top. And I mean, Gran Turismo is PlayStation's response to Forza. Honestly,
yeah,
I don't think we got actual gameplay from the showcase.
yeah,
It kind of looked like it was just shots of the cars, and I know Gran Turismo has like this really cool mode where you can like go into a garage and see all your cars and how you've modded them and stuff. And it looks like they really expanded on that. Like it looks like you can create like a whole house and all your garage and have like 50 cars in there, like something crazy. That looked really cool, but overall I'm not a big racing uh gamer or
yeah.
enthusiast. What'd you think about it?
I I mean, if you're asking me which one I'm gonna go first, for sure Forza.
Yeah.
The Forza trailer by far blew me away compared
Oh,
to,
for
like I
sure.
said,
If you're comparing the trailers, for sure.
I'm not a big, you know, I played Need for Speed back in the day and some of the Forzas, but for sure Forza blew them out the water, which is okay. I mean, it's a Gran Turismo game that maybe some people are fans and they're
Yeah.
gonna buy it, you know, but I don't see myself playing it, or I don't see many people picking it up unless you're a Gran Turismo fan, which is okay,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you're making that for your fans, so
Yeah, I think when it comes to Forza and Gran Turismo, it really comes down to if you own an Xbox or a PlayStation. And then
yeah,
that's the gaming.
yeah. You're not gonna buy a PlayStation to play Gran Turismo, or
Exactly.
you're not gonna
Yeah.
buy an Xbox to buy Forza. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
but if you have those and you're a car enthusiast, like you might as well get that game just because it's that it's that cool, it's that detailed, and I understand like the fans that are really like fans of these games, they're gonna get them no matter what, almost
Yeah,
like a Madden, where it's like the next iteration you're gonna get it, and I mean I've owned Gran Turismo games. I remember I had the original Gran Turismo, for PlayStation, and we've just gone through all the Gran Turismo games. I haven't owned every single one, but I've had fun with them, and I think them showing it here just makes sense. It's just kind of throwing it in because it is their exclusive, right? It's their PlayStation exclusive racing game. Obviously, they're gonna throw it in since Xbox has Forza in theirs.
yeah,
But I totally agree with you. When it comes down to the trailers, Forza was way more interesting, and way
yeah.
more,
Definitely, the action
yeah,
definitely feels like makes you want to buy it as much as you're probably not going to buy it. If you had to choose out,
yeah.
yeah,
I
exactly. I'm
think
a big Forza,
Forza
just at least.
Forza might be one of those games that's gonna be out on Game Pass when it comes out.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure. I'm pretty sure any Xbox. I don't think they're going to bring out many games that are outside of Game
yeah,
Pass, which is okay. I mean, that's kind of their selling point, and if it's working for them, and they're making money off of it,
yep,
more power to us, and more for the
yep.
gamers. So hopefully, especially if they're bringing out Halo onto Game Pass, I'm pretty sure they're going to be okay with bringing out a bunch of other
Oh yeah,
games.
definitely. Uh, Another game that came out during PlayStation Showcase, and it's actually a game that we've already had for a while. Uh, it was Uncharted, and the specific version of Uncharted was the Legacy of Thieves collection, which is the newest Uncharted. I think is Uncharted 4 and the DLC. So that's the Legacy of Thieves collection. And the big news here for Uncharted is that it is now going to be on PC. So it was the announcement of the DLC, but also the announcement that we are going to get this collection available on PC as well. That's big news. That's a huge win for
Yeah.
PC players. right?
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, definitely accessibility for PC, most people have PCs nowadays. So if you're an Xbox fan that likes or has always wanted to play Uncharted, maybe you have a PC you can play on PC.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the Uncharted games are super fun. Like I have the whole Nathan Drake collection, and I replayed through them just because they remade some of them, and they had the whole collection, kind of like Halo had the Master Thief collection where they had all the Halo games
BioShock
or
too,
the
yeah.
Bioshock ones. Yeah, yeah, and so Uncharted did that, and they brought in their whole Uncharted collection, and it was really fun to replay through those games, uh and it's just really good storytelling, really good uh single player games. So
Yeah.
naturally, if they start moving those to PC, maybe we'll see some of the other single player games come on to PC. I think
Yeah.
this is them kind of testing the waters to see what
Yeah.
the interest is out there. I don't know how it's going to be available on PC. That's the thing. um, I remember we had talked about how the PlayStation, I think PlayStation Now service, which is kind of their PlayStation's response to the Game Pass, how
Yeah.
PlayStation Now was going to start being available on PC, and we're going to see games on there that you can play on PC. Uh, or it might just be Uncharted is going to be its own thing. Maybe it'll come out in Steam, right?
Yeah.
And you can download it from there. So I think it really depends on the developer, but because it is a PlayStation exclusive, I have a feeling PlayStation has a say on how it's going to be available on PC. Um, even then,
I feel like I feel like Microsoft already knows what they're doing in that sense, that they can sell their games easier,
yeah,
and obviously they have their Microsoft store. But I don't think PlayStation should try to overdo it. Maybe bring them out on Steam and see if, like you said, test the waters.
yeah,
Don't just go out and open your store and then it's going to be a big flop and it's going to just cause more issues. So just, don't overthink it, put it on Steam,
yeah,
and don't add extra troubles onto your plate when you have the answer right there. It's Steam.
yeah. It's, I mean, it is. I think it's the answer. Especially we were talking about the Steam Deck not too long ago.
Yeah.
If you have that in your library and you have it available in the Steam Deck, it makes perfect sense to have a single player game on your Steam Deck to be able to play mobily on the fly. If you're like on vacation, if you're just like waiting somewhere, like single player game, let me just play it through real quick. That makes too much sense almost, right? To
Yeah.
throw it onto Steam to make it available for other people.
Yeah, even bring it out, when the Steam Deck. I don't know when we said the Steam Deck was going to come out,
Yeah,
but
I think it's like
I'll be
March next year or something. But yeah,
yeah. So it could line up and make it one of those games that comes
yeah.
out when it comes out.
Yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed. Overall, as a PlayStation fan, I don't think this is a loss for PlayStation players. I think it's just
Yeah.
adding more opportunities for gamers to really fall in love with this game that I really enjoyed. Um, Next up, we had GTA 5. So again, I know everyone's been waiting for GTA 6. Everyone keeps saying like, "Come on, when are we gonna get GTA 6?" And they hit us with GTA 5 Enhanced, which is basically GTA 5 for PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S. Uh, I thought it was interesting. I found it funny that,
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah.
but at the same time, they showcase some really cool stuff. Like the graphics, legit look a lot better, and I think the online experience is gonna be upgraded too. So it's gonna start taking like the full specs that the newer generation of consoles have to offer. It's really gonna take that and push it, especially with their. It looked like with their cars, with their racing, with some of the mechanics within the game. It looks like they're enhancing all of that. So, what do you think? I mean, I'm a GTA fan, especially the
Yeah, no,
online
I love
play.
GTA. I love GTA for sure. GTA's top game, you know, one of the top franchises ever. And I mean, I think it's funny, just like you said, because everyone's waiting for GTA 6 and they're milking GTA 5 to its core. They're milking it for everybody, everything it's got. So I mean, more power to them. It's not a bad, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I
Yeah,
guess in a sense, they can just keep upgrading GTA 5, but people want GTA 6 so badly. But it's more of just it feels like they're trying to sell PS5 graphics, which is
yeah,
what they should be doing, I guess. Yeah, another remake that they don't have to put too much work into upgrading the graphics and you know kind of like the Kings of the Old Republic in a sense,
Yeah.
but would not they won't have to do too much work like that one. But
Yeah, and
yeah,
and this is
good.
one of those games that if you already have in your library on the previous generation, it'll be in your library for the next one. So all you need to do is really download it, and it already has the enhanced version on there for
Yeah,
you. I think it was really interesting because they had announced they were going to come out with an enhanced version for the consoles like months ago. It was supposed to come out around like October or no or like November, like soon. And they finally came out with this trailer saying, "All right, now we really have it, and it's gonna come out later on." So it's still a couple months out, but even then, I think announcing it is better than nothing, especially for GTA 5, because I mean, you don't want it to go stale. You want people to keep playing it. You want people
yeah,
to especially with their online experience. You want people to really get into it. So this is just another way for uh, to get, especially content creators. I know a lot of people still play this on Twitch, on
yeah,
YouTube. They stream it live, so it's just gonna give them more content to create to play through. It looked like they're gonna add a couple missions as well, so more to the story for those that like playing through the GTA stories, through the different missions. So yeah, I think overall that was a positive note. It was a win. Uh, Not to the level of like the other stuff that fans were really looking forward to, but at the same time, it's not bad, not bad.
yeah.
A game that I know a lot of people were waiting for, and especially with the success of the previous game in 2018 was God of War. So God of War
Yeah.
kind of has taken like it's taken a really weird turn. If you remember playing the original God of War games, I don't know, had you played them before? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I played God of War 2, God of War 3, 3.
Three.
Yeah, I played a few on the PSP back in the
Okay.
day,
Okay.
as well as PS2. But yeah, I haven't played them all for
Okay.
sure. But they're amazing
Yeah.
games. Definitely PS
Yeah. So
classics for
so
sure.
these new God of War, the last game was called God of War again, and it because it almost felt like a remake of a sort, but it wasn't a remake of the original game. It was just like the next like storyline of the game, where Kratos has a son now that he's trying to teach, and he's kind of gone away from being like the crazy like overbearing monster that he was before, and now he's more of like trying to be a good father figure, and I think that's just in itself a really cool story, but it went from him fighting all these like the Greek gods and defeating all of them to now he's moved on to Norse mythology, right? So there's Greek mythology, there's Norse mythology, and now he's moving on to the Norse mythology, the Vikings. And that's how we get the name of this new God of War. It's God of War Ragnarok. And of course, in this trailer, we see Mjolnir. We see the hammer of Thor, and I don't know who voiced Thor, but it actually sounded really good, and it got me excited for it. Um, Overall, I saw a couple different surveys online of what people were most excited for based on the trailers from the PlayStation Showcase, and this was at the top. A lot of people were like, "This got me really excited for the next God of War." What do you think about the trailer?
I thought it was really good. It definitely had uh, definitely remind me a bit of the Assassin's Creed
Yeah,
vibe, for sure. So everyone loves the like you said, the Norse mythology. So
yeah,
yeah, it's the Thor and all that. That's just a win-win for everybody. I don't think anybody hates Thor. So
yeah, right.
definitely, definitely, yeah, you
Yeah,
can't go wrong with that.
I think it's really cool because if you've actually like read into the mythology of both Greek and Norse mythology, there's a lot of overlap.
Yeah,
Just names have changed, but at the same time,
yeah,
in Greek mythology, the whole idea is that the gods are immortal, and in the game God of War, he actually kills them, and that's why it's like
yeah,
so like grand and like crazy when you actually are able to like fight against Zeus, fight against Poseidon,
Yeah.
and then you bring him into this Norse mythology where it's almost more like gritty, it's darker because it's coming from like the Vikings, where the gods aren't all immortal. And if you read the mythology at Ragnarok, most of them die. So this is like kind of leading towards uh, Kratos being like this either like the hero or the villain. I don't know in what direction is going. Um, but at the same time, it makes it really interesting because it's natural to think about this and to think about like Thor in the MCU in the movies we've watched.
Yeah.
That kind of brings the excitement with it too, because that's for a lot of people that's the Thor that they know, right? So we're gonna see, like probably we'll see a Loki in this game. We'll probably see Odin, and all these other gods of Norse mythology, and I'm here for it. I think God of War has really good action sequences, really good fighting that are really well thought out. We saw that in God of War in 2018. Um, Originally, I was skeptical about the his interaction with his son, and I just thought the son was gonna be some like weird NPC that just followed you around and like you shot arrows. But actually, they made it work. They made it work really well. They made his character. They built his character really well to fit into the plot, to fit with what Kratos is doing, and for this one, he's older. They've upgraded um the his look, and even in the trailer you kind of see him start saying, hey, we got to go out there and fight, and Kratos is the one that's pulling him back, right? And so you kind of start seeing where they're going, where who knows, maybe we might in the future we might get a game with just his son. um
Yeah.
but even then, I think it's gonna be really cool. The gameplay was spot on. The overall like gameplay that we saw in this trailer combined with the story that we saw looked really good. I'm really excited for it. This is a game that I'm gonna get, and honestly, I don't care if it's $50, $60. I think the
Yeah.
God of
This is
War
one of
games
those
are
games you
definitely
pay up
worth
for.
it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is one of those games that you pay for even if it's 60. They're, putting this up for 60, that's no brainer. And like you said, it definitely bringing in this kid definitely opens up for future games, and maybe like you said, maybe they switch up the franchise and move on to his kid. And this is, I guess, this was the one of the biggest games in the fact that they showed cinematic and also
Yeah.
gameplay, because a lot of the other ones were more of just
Yep.
cinematics, pretty much. So this one definitely was top of the showcase.
Yeah. Yeah. In my opinion, also I think it was top of the showcase, and I mean PlayStation fans are always gonna get giddy over God of War, right? It's just
Yeah, God of War is the. I mean, I would say it's probably the PlayStation
yeah.
classic, at least single
Yeah, like
player
Kratos.
wise.
Kratos for us is like comparable to what Master Chief is for Xbox. So yeah,
Yeah,
so it's a big deal to get this new game. Yeah, so I'm excited for it, I'm actually interested to see if they port this over to PC. Just because they're doing Uncharted, and I know there's a lot of PC players. There's a lot of Xbox players also that would want to play God of War. It's just that good of a game, that good of a series, and yeah, I think it'd be interesting if they start porting this over to PC as well, because I really want to see it. I want to see more
shit.
fans or more players become fans of the different Xbox series because it's been
Yeah,
made available to them. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, it comes over to PC as well.
definitely start putting these games into more people's hands rather than limiting, and that needs to. I think it feels like it's going that way, and I think they're starting to understand that. Like, there's some fine with some exclusives, but
Yeah,
you just got get the game in as many hands as possible,
exactly,
essentially.
exactly. Um, all right, and lastly, what I want to talk about from the PlayStation Showcase was the big Marvel showing that we had.
Um,
You guys know I've been super critical of Marvel games the last few months, really, especially with how bad Marvel's Avengers did. Um, and I've just been saying like they have to come up from this. especially with how well the MCU has done lately. Um, we need to have games that match that quality. And Marvel's Avengers, that game wasn't it. I talked about last time about Midnight Suns, which I'm optimistic for, but still, we don't know where it'll go. It's created by the same people as XCOM. But I
Yeah.
think today's PlayStation Showcase really highlighted some Marvel games that I can really get behind and really look forward to. Uh, First off on the list is gonna be Spider-Man, right? I know right off the bat people were confused because the trailer ends and it says Spider-Man 2, and everyone's like, wait, isn't it Spider-Man 3? Like, didn't we just get a Spider-Man game like with the Miles Morales game?
Yeah.
And I guess the answer is yes and no. So in the original Spider-Man game, came out on PS4. It's obviously a Peter
Yeah.
Parker story, and near the end of it, you really start getting Miles Morales. Miles Morales is in that game, and it kind of builds up to him getting his powers, and he gets his powers at the end. And then in Spider-Man Miles Morales, which came out on PS5 and PS4, you really see it's his story. So now that we have Spider-Man 2, I think this is going to be focused on Peter Parker again, but because we already have Miles Morales, he'll probably be a playable character in the sense that, like for Gotham Knights for example, where or even like the later Arkham games where you can have multiple superheroes and you can like switch between the two, or maybe it's just you switch the skin or the armor and all that. So I'm excited about that, but I think one of the more exciting points here was Venom showing up at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think about this?
I love everyone loves themselves some
Some Venom,
Venom,
yeah.
so Venom is definitely a plus for. Like you said, Spider-Man is probably the one true Marvel MCU game that has come out that's been a true
Oh yeah,
success. So bringing out Venom just gives that extra
yeah.
punch.
And some people may not have noticed, but I mean, I'm a big comic book fan, so I noticed right away that the
Yeah,
person narrating is Craven, who's another villain in like the Spider-Man's like
yeah.
gallery of villains. So the narrator was originally Craven saying like who's gonna step up, and then it was, I think the person that voiced Venom was perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that voice was just,
It's eerie. It's like eerie,
yeah,
but still,
so
yeah,
raw,
yeah,
and I was like, oh yeah, that's it, we got a real Venom. We've seen Venom before in Spider-Man games, like the old games from like 10 years ago. And honestly it was fine, and it was pretty fun, but seeing him in like this new Spider-Man game is going to be great because Insomniac has done such a good job with these Spider-Man games. Like everyone talked about the original Spider-Man game and even the Miles Morales one as game of the year. A lot of people had him
yeah,
on top of their lists. And when you see list of um, like superhero video games, Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales are always near the top. So they have really
yeah.
good scores, like Metacritic scores, and Insomniac just knows what to do with these characters, and they do it well. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see where this goes. The only thing about the end of this was really funny when it said it's coming out in 2023.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking up the date of when the Spider-Man movie comes out. I was like, man, it would be perfect if they kind of out of nowhere they're just like, here, coming out beginning of 2022 or something like
Yeah,
that, and then after the movie comes out, a few months later, the game comes out. But 2023,
that's so far
it's like
out.
quite a wait. Yeah, which is, I mean, it was a cinematic, so there was no gameplay. It
Yeah,
was, uh, you know,
I,
but I mean, people are gonna wait for it.
yeah,
It's Spider-Man. That's the big selling point for PlayStation.
yeah,
But it definitely was a big selling point for PlayStation 4.
and it's
So
gonna be a
might be their
PlayStation
big,
5 exclusive, like
yeah,
for
which is
reals this
what
time,
it should be.
right?
Yeah,
Hopefully.
yeah, should be if they don't do
Yeah,
it,
by
then
2023, I think they should
just
have it
killing it.
together where they can release an exclusive PS5 game.
Hmm.
So that one was definitely a surprise. I think for a lot of people didn't expect that, especially since Miles Morales came out not too long ago. It hasn't even been a year, I think. since
Yeah.
Spider-Man Miles Morales came out. It came out with the new consoles, so
Definitely that felt like it was a little less of a not that it was less of a game, but definitely the hype around that was not as big. So maybe
correct. Yeah.
they felt like they needed something else to kind of, and everyone loves Spider-Man. The movie's coming out soon, so
Oh yeah.
just keep churning them out. So
Keep the hype up.
yeah,
Yeah. Sony knows what they're doing.
yeah,
Sony knows what they're doing with Spider-Man.
yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
but then another Marvel surprise that we got was Wolverine. Oh
Yeah, that
my
one was
god. I, I got so hyped for this. Like when you see the clip, and again, this one has no gameplay. It's kind of like Knights of the Old Republic where it just showed.
it's like 20-second
Yeah,
clip or something
and
like
it's
that.
just like
It was perfect.
shows him like just like with his drink, and you kind of see his knuckles, and I thought I was like, is that Wolverine? Like I thought about it for a second because you see all the like scratches and stuff.
It For me, it looked like the bar from Deadpool. I was like, is that? I was like, it kind of looks like Deadpool. I mean, it's not obviously
Yeah,
not Deadpool, but that bar looks the same. So I was like, yeah, it was confusing, and then you kind of see, like you said, see his fist, and you're just like, oh, that's
yep,
Wolverine.
exactly. And then he just the claws come out, and then it cuts there, and I was just like, oh, what the heck just happened? So it was
Yeah.
funny, but at the same time, it showed that the developers Insomniac, who developed the
Mhm.
Spider-Man games. So I think that's where the hype is there. Honestly, is like, hey, the same guys that did Spider-Man are now doing a Wolverine game, and I think that's where everyone is really getting excited for it. And like I saw a bunch of people on like TikTok, like Soups, for example, like he does a lot of like superhero content, and like
Mhm.
how excited they got for this was like really funny to watch. Just like them jumping, and you're like, yeah, like honestly, it was like if their team had scored, and it was
Yeah.
really funny to see people's reactions online and all over Twitter. Honestly, like we didn't even get gameplay, guys, and people are already like,
Like
"Yeah,
20
this is gonna
seconds.
be
I
the
was waiting
best
to see. Yeah.
game of the year, calling it now." And I was like, "Oh, all right." Some guys are getting a little ahead of themselves, but at the same time, because it's Insomniac, I mean, they've done so well. They have a good reputation with superhero games. Maybe they deserve it. Maybe they deserve to get that much hype around Wolverine.
Yeah, I mean, if they use the same engine and they're using the same, formula as they are with Spider-Man, I don't see how it's not a
Yeah,
success. And Wolverine's one of the most badass characters in that. I think the MCU, at least I would
oh
say,
yeah,
he's definitely one of the most badass ones.
yeah.
So
All of Marvel.
to get a to get a Wolverine game is just
Yeah.
amazing. I hope they bring it on a PC or something that I can play it on because as much as I love Spider-Man, Wolverine's just one of those guys. I love Wolverine. I love all Wolverine movies, and just his character is just amazing.
Yeah,
So
I mean his character is natural to come out for a game with him because like years ago before we had the real MCU, all we really had was Spider Man and X Men, and when you saw X
mhm.
Men, you immediately thought of Wolverine, like those were the two
Yeah,
big Marvel heroes at the time. So Sony obviously owns the rights to Spider Man, and they had all these games come out. I think and I hope Wolverine comes out on all consoles and on PC because Wolverine
yeah.
isn't owned by Sony. Wolverine obviously for movies it's owned by
The
Disney.
X-Men, did they sell X-Men? I thought Disney bought the rights. Well, I think Sony kept the rights to Spider-Man and then to X-Men,
No,
and
Sony
then
doesn't have the
sold
rights
off
to
the
the
other
X Men. At
ones.
least in the movies, they
No,
don't. No,
okay,
no, the because the X Men belonged to Fox, and then Disney bought out
okay,
Fox. So Sony only really kept Spider Man. That was it. And
okay,
I think the Hulk belongs to like Universal or something. But that's at the movie
yeah,
level, right? I think when it comes to the game level, Sony outright bought from Marvel the rights to Spider-Man across all levels.
okay,
For Wolverine, I mean, we're gonna get Wolverine in Midnight Suns. He came out as one of
yeah,
the characters that's gonna be available. Um, Obviously, you see Wolverine in Ultimate, no, yeah, Ultimate Alliance, and you see him in Marvel vs. Capcom, and those games came out on Xbox. So
yeah.
I think, and I'm really hoping this Wolverine single player game is going to be available across the board, and I think it,
I really hope
yeah,
so.
I
I
think
hope
it'll
it's not.
give. the Xbox players a taste of what Insomniac can do with a good
Yeah,
character and honestly with really good storytelling. And that was kind of one of the main selling points of Spider-Man is they really did their research in the comic books and they came out with a whole unique story. It was actually a unique story. They took elements from different stories of Spider-Man, but like the whole Doc Ock and him being an intern for him and all that, like all of that was really unique stories that they created just for this game. And I believe in Insomniac that they're gonna really look into Wolverine as a character and really develop something around him, a good story
yeah.
around him and who he is and like how he comes to be the Wolverine. So I'm really excited about it, and yeah, I think they're gonna do a good
I
job,
I
and fingers crossed it's available
yeah.
for everyone to play.
I hope so because that, like I said, I want to play Spider Man so badly, but honestly, I don't want to dish out for a PlayStation.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, but if it's on Xbox, I really hope so. And it's gonna be interesting how they pace out the games because I mean I don't think they had a release date for
No, they
Wolverine, so I don't know if
didn't
it's gonna
show.
be after Spider Man or is it gonna be
Legit, they
before?
didn't show
How
anything.
are they gonna? Yeah, it was just like 20 seconds, and then it was just like okay, and now they have to do the show was Wolverine, and that's
Yep,
it.
that's all they needed though.
But yeah, yeah, for sure. Is it going to be after Spider Man? Is it going to be before? I don't know, but hopefully it's before, because then they're going to have to wait to 2024, the end of 2023. So
Yeah,
hopefully we don't have to wait that
no,
long. I mean, that's 2 3 years out. I'm not trying to wait that
no,
long,
no.
but I mean, I'll still wait for it if it's on Xbox at
Yeah,
least. For
we'll
sure.
wait for it, but we don't want to.
No,
Yeah.
no, bring it next year. Next year would be great.
The last Marvel game I want to talk about, it had less hype, just because we've already seen it. Was Guardians of the Galaxy. Um, Again, this is coming out from Square Enix, who are the same people that made Marvel's Avengers. So I'm kind of taking it with a grain of salt. And but they give us more gameplay and they give us more story. I think it looks really fun. I think it does a lot of callbacks to the movies, the Guardian of the Galaxy movies that really, I mean, a lot of people were introduced to these Guardians because of the movies. So the
Yeah,
games are naturally going to pull from that. But you can tell that these are actually like a lot of their characters taken from the comic books as well because they are different from the movies, and
yeah,
I think it was really interesting. I think it's worth mentioning. Guardians. I think the gameplay is going to be really good. They've talked about the gameplay where it seems like you're just going to be really playing as Star Lord and kind of helping control the other Guardians, and I think that's fine. I think that works for a single player game. We saw it work for Final Fantasy Remake, so obviously Square Enix did that. So I think they're kind of thinking of taking those same mechanics and making it work here, and hopefully it works really well. I think for a Guardians story, it might play out well, but like I said, I'm taking it with a grain of salt just because it's Guardians of the Galaxy. But overall, for like Marvel showing at the PlayStation Showcase, I think it was ultimately a plus. They did really well with Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine,
for sure.
and Guardians was kind of just like, all right, we're gonna throw this in there too, and kind of fingers crossed for that one that it does well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for sure. Guardians, like I said, unless you're a really big Marvel or comic book fan, I don't see yourself buying it
Yeah,
personally. Like me myself, I'm probably not gonna get it unless it's free or something. But like I said, Marvel did great as long as they. I think them focusing on games like Spider-Man and Wolverine and these like storyline, really focusing on just one character is really the way for them to go in the future, rather than making these, um, I guess, Avenger type games for sure. But um, yeah, they did well. For sure, hype created for sure a bunch of
yeah,
hype.
yeah. So, oh yeah, I give Marvel an A plus showing at the PlayStation Showcase. Um,
Yeah,
Overall, I mean that wraps up the games that I wanted to highlight from the PlayStation Showcase. If you want to check out the whole showcase for yourself, it's on YouTube. Go ahead and find it on here. It's I think it was like 40 45 minutes or so. So it's not that much. It's just kind of trailers to go through. There's a longer 4 hour stream where I think they go into a bunch of other games. They also do some like interviews and all that that you can check out. But overall, I mean, I think the PlayStation Showcase was great, man. Like I definitely like rate
yeah,
it up there as one of the better showings of the year so far. and I think it was good to get people hyped up for PlayStation and for the PlayStation 5 specifically. So yeah, and kudos to PlayStation for coming out with the showcase and really giving us a show and showing that they care what the fans are saying and they're really listening.
Yeah, yeah, because like I said, we were giving them a lot of crap about what they were doing the last few
Yeah.
months, so they definitely showed up and gave people what they wanted.
Yep. Yeah, so that pretty much wraps up our podcast for today. Again, we're gonna end with recommendations as always. I was gonna start on this one, and I guess in honor of talking about PlayStation Showcase today, I wanted to mention one of the free PlayStation games for this month. It's actually a free PS5 game, so if you have the PS5, you can download it. But if you don't have a PS5, you can buy this game. It's Overcooked. So I think the new game is called Overcooked All You Can Eat, and it's pretty fun. But I mean, I have Overcooked for Switch. I have the original Overcooked for PlayStation and for PS4. And honestly, it's just a fun game. It's a fun couch game. I've had a lot of fun with it recently, especially just being at home. But I definitely recommend downloading the new one if you have a PS5. It's free this month. And yeah, Overcooked. I know you've played it, right?
Yeah, yeah, put it Overcooked
Yeah,
too. It's fun. Definitely a fun party game for sure.
yeah. So get your hands on that while it's free.
Yeah, for me, I haven't really been playing anything new. This week's been really busy, but Apex, I guess Apex is really all I've been
Oh,
playing.
nice.
Apex, and I tried Knockout City. It's pretty fun. Not we were talking about it a while
Yeah,
ago. It's pretty fun. It's free on Game Pass on Xbox, so
yeah.
you want to try
Knockout
that
City is
out.
a good one. I think if you're looking for a new
Yeah,
type of game, a new spin on kind of the third person shooter, it's definitely a game you should try out with friends. Yeah, that's
yeah,
definitely a fun one to do.
yeah. Definitely, me and my friends are always looking for like games when we get a little bored of whatever we're playing. So Knockout City's in the rotation along with like Splitgate and Apex and stuff like that. Yeah. So trying new games and throwing them in your rotation is always
Dope. Yep.
a good deal.
Yeah. All right, and that wraps up our podcast. Thanks again for joining us. Make sure to like and subscribe so you can get notifications whenever we go live and whenever we upload new videos. I want to thank everyone for following. Let us know in the comments if there's any other topics you want us to talk about next time. And make sure to follow our sister podcasts. We have Sports Dogs has their own YouTube channel now, so make sure to go follow and subscribe to them. Everything about sports, especially if you're getting into fantasy football right now, you gotta listen to the Sports Dogs. They know what they're talking about over there, and follow our all the other ones. Heroes and Mutants podcast. We just finished up a review of Shang-Chi, the new MCU movie, so that one's a good one. We got the Man, we got some with Hoodame, talking about all things anime. So if you geek out about anything, we got a podcast for you. So make sure to follow us on IG, follow us on Twitter. We're all over the place. So and again, thank you. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you next time. GG's.
GG's.